Ladies and gentlemen, hello and welcome. Phil here again for my second press conference recap and reactions session, broadcast, stream, whatever you want to call it, for E3 2019. This is, of course, Bethesda, the guys who now for 5 straight years have been doing these major press conferences at E3. And a lot of speculation this year about what the hell were they actually going to be doing, because they had mentioned they were going to be talking about new IPs, but no one really knew what the new IPs were. One of them people felt was from Shinji Mikami. We didn't know what it was going to be. Was there going to be a lot of focus on mobile gaming? Were they going to mention Fallout 76? That was a huge disaster last year. Or Elder Scrolls Blades, which also was a huge disaster on mobile. Like, there's all this stuff, this speculation. What is Bethesda going to do at this press conference? All right. First of all, it was very short compared to, I think, what everyone was expecting. It was just over an hour, only by maybe 10 minutes, so like an hour and 15 minutes tops. And I thought we were expecting a lot more out of Bethesda, especially with all the product lines and the IPs that they have. In addition to that, yeah, a lot of it was filler, but they did focus in on a couple games primarily. So for kind of a mixed bag, let's go ahead and jump right into it. So they opened up with a montage. Their theme this year for this presentation is "We Are All Together." And so it shows their personnel, how the people who work for Bethesda are from all walks of life. Some of them are gamers just like us, growing up with games. And then they wanted to become game developers themselves, and now they work for Bethesda. They do interviews with gamers themselves, saying, oh, I love Bethesda because of this, or this game saved my life, and this and that, and all that, okay? Basically, kind of a feel-good opening montage. Then Pete Himes comes out. He's the head of marketing. Talks a little bit about the last year and the challenges. And then he calls out Todd Howard. And basically Todd Howard, who we all know, the head of Bethesda when it comes to games like Fallout and all of that, comes out and says, well, compared to a lot of the feedback we got over last year, which, first of all, thank you everyone so much for the feedback, because we listened to all of it. We're impressed that some of you are still here. So, ladies and gentlemen, from now on, Bethesda's tagline every year from now on will be, we're impressed that you're still here. Every year, that's how we're going to open when I recap from Bethesda from now on. We're impressed you're still here. Because after the shit year that Bethesda had in the last year, it actually is impressive that so many people actually still like Bethesda, in my opinion. I mean, they really screwed the pooch from 2018 to this point in 2019. And so hopefully they can make a recovery in the next year, okay? Now, let's talk about some of the things he talks about. First of all, Fallout 76, he says it was a horrendous launch, but thanks to those of you who stuck in there and are still playing the game, because we've had a lot of improvements and everything. The truth of the matter is, and this is what, Todd Howard will never tell anyone, is that Fallout 76 sold well, but was so broken at launch that the vast majority of players, I think the estimate that they said online at one point was over 80% of the people who bought the game never played it again, because it was such a broken mess. Even with all the patches and everything, they just didn't care. So you're talking a player base of millions that was probably reduced down to such a minuscule amount of players because the game was so bad at launch. Now, yes, apparently they have actually made efforts over the last year to fix it, but it's too little too late. You cannot release a game that at core fundamentality doesn't work and has so many glitches and bugs and just isn't fun to play, and then expect people are going to stick around and wait for you to fix their fucking game. They're just going to say, screw it, there's a million other games out there we could be playing, and that's exactly what happened with the case of Fallout 76. But Bethesda will never admit that. Oh, well, we stuck to it, and we're still improving the game, yada, yada, yada. In reality, most people who bought the game never played it again, okay? Alright. So first of all, before they go into detail about Fallout 76, they actually talk about Elder Scrolls Blades. Now, for those of you who don't know, Elder Scrolls Blades is a mobile game for your phone. It released, I believe it was about a month and a half ago. I want to say maybe 2 months ago. Out of nowhere. This was a game that was supposed to release in the fall of 2018, then at the end of 2018, then in early 2019, and then finally just released on a whim out of nowhere in the middle of the night one night. And it's like, what the hell? Like, like they snuck released it. Ever since Elder Scrolls Blades has released, the vast majority of people who played it have complained constantly that it's too much of a grind, it's far too repetitive, it relies way too much on microtransactions to have progress, and the combat is terrible because you have to play it on a screen, so good luck actively tapping, blocking, and things when you're on a fucking touchscreen. It's too hard to do. So in reality, the game's been panned by most people who've played it. There's a small group of people who like it, but most people don't like Elder Scrolls Blades. Which is funny, because the first thing they say is, oh, thanks for your overwhelming response. Just like Fallout Shelter years ago, Elder Scrolls Blades is the #1 mobile game. And it's like, now wait a minute. Wait a minute. Okay? I want to know. I honestly want an answer. Where do they get their stats from? Just because a lot of people downloaded it on release day because it was free doesn't mean the game was rated well, played by anyone, or any money was spent on it. You can't just say it's the #1 mobile game. What are you judging the criteria? Number of downloads, number of concurrent players, how much money was spent on it? What is the data you're pulling? Because Fallout Shelter, don't get me wrong, was huge. Everyone got it because that was the year, if you remember, they announced that Fallout 4 was coming out in the fall, so everyone was fucking super hyped for Fallout 4 and downloaded Fallout Shelter, and a lot of people dumped money into it. That's different from Elder Scrolls Blades, where everyone wants an Elder Scrolls game. We have no sight of when an Elder Scrolls game is coming, and this game got delayed, released out of nowhere, and basically is a grindy paywall piece of crap. So how can you say that it's #1 just like Fallout Shelter was? To me, I'm sorry, that's like dishonest. You know, if you're going to say shit like that, you've got to have something to back it up, and they have nothing. They just gloss over it, and then they keep going on, pretending like their game is great. So they announced there's going to be a vast number of big improvements, alright, coming to the game, including a new jobs that will be in the game, new solo arena battles, jewelry will be added to the game, and crafting of jewelry, as well as a new dragon quest line. And all that content releases for free tonight. So if you've been playing Elder Scrolls Blades, you get that tonight, okay? And then they said there's going to be a new arena mode this fall that's going to have PvP. And then the other announcement for Elder Scrolls Blades, it's going to be added to the Nintendo Switch as a free-to-play game. And they actually showed it on the Switch. So when you play it on your phone, you can either play it like this, or you can play it like this. Well, on the Switch, you play it like this on the big screen, and actually show someone actually using the controllers, the Joy-Cons, to play it. And they're like, wow, look, it controls so much better. It's like, yeah, it's an Elder Scrolls game. If you use a fucking controller or Joy-Cons, it's going to control better than if you're just trying to tap your screen like this, and which is one of the major complaints for the game. So innately, I think the game will be just better on Switch by default, because you'll actually be able to control it properly, okay? And they say that another thing that's going to happen is that the current version on your phone and the Switch will be cross-platform with progress completely, you know, concurrent. So if you've been playing on your phone all along and you're pissed off that the game's hard to control or you don't like how it plays, you can get it on the Switch this fall for free, and your progress transfers over. So start playing it now, because you'll be able to play it on the Switch in the fall and keep all your progress. I'll be honest with you, someone like my wife, Kat, she loves Elder Scrolls. She's been playing Blades, and she's frustrated. She's like, I like the game, but I hate the controls. She might actually want to play it on my Switch in the fall, because you could use the Joy-Cons to play it. So maybe she'll actually check that out, right? It may actually be a huge thing. Now, here's the other thing, though, that I was very skeptical, and I had to say this during the press conference, all right? This game, Elder Scrolls Blades, has been panned by the mobile gaming community as well as the mainstream Elder Scrolls community since it released, all right? Everyone says they hate it. But now, because it's on the Switch, how many people will magically forgive all of its shortcomings and say it's a great game? And I hate to say that, but it seems to me whenever games release on the Switch, all of a sudden they get massive praise and it's the best game ever on Switch. It's like, because the Switch has such a weird lineup of games. You got first-party Nintendo games that are outstanding. Then you've got an insane amount of shit shovelware games on there that are mostly crappy mobile games. And that's what you have to play on the Switch. So when you get a game like Elder Scrolls Blades that maybe, oh, when I have a ton of competition on my phone to play, I don't want to play it. But, oh, on the Switch, it's a good game. You see what I mean? Like, it's kind of weird, and I'm curious to see what people will say when this is actually on the Switch, if it'll be good or not, okay? I'm not kidding you. They wasted that much time on Elder Scrolls Blades. For a short press conference, they wasted like 15 minutes on Elder Scrolls Blades. Then they went on to Fallout 76. Ooh, boy. So we all know Fallout 76, the train wreck it was at launch. No NPCs, empty world, things not functioning properly, glitchy as hell, not fun, total train wreck of a launch, and no one liked the game, and most people stopped playing it. So, excuse me. They announced, these two guys come out who apparently are, you know, the heads working on Fallout 76, saying thank you again so much for the feedback, and thank you for understanding. This was the first time we ever tried a game like this, and we really listened to your feedback, and we took heart at what you had to say. So here's what we're improving in the game now, okay? They're doing a new thing called the Wastelanders Update. Ladies and gentlemen, they're adding NPCs to Fallout 76. Like, wow, what a fucking giant leap of genius to add NPCs into the series that always had NPCs, and people complained that there were no NPCs in the game and it was empty. So they're finally doing that, and of course they tried to cover their tracks. I love this PR spin bullshit that they do in these press conferences. Oh, well, you see, the reason there's no NPCs in Fallout 76 at launch is because that was year one. And in year 1, that was the year when everyone was released out of the vault. So there were no humans out there in the wasteland. Now this is year 2. So in year 2, now people have started to resettle the wasteland. So now there's people for you to interact with. It's like, ha 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 ha, fuck you. You're so full of shit. You're so fucking full of shit. You had no intention of putting humans in the game until everyone panned your game and said that it was boring as fuck because there was no proper dialogue trees. There were no humans. You were talking to fucking consoles. I love that they tried to reason the shit with lore when in reality it's just fucking happy horse shit that they make up to blow smoke up your ass to pretend like, oh, this is our plan all along. They're so full of shit. So, that's the first improvement. Also, there will be new choice and consequences to the game, much like the dialogue trees of original Fallout. You know, one of the fucking selling points. They're bringing that back. And they said this update will be free. And in addition to this, they announced the game is now free. There is a free trial starting tomorrow, so that's June 10th, running until June 17th. So apparently there'll be a free trial of Fallout 76 on all platforms starting Monday, June 10th, running for a full week, okay? Immediately, people in Stream Chat were like, Phil, you never played it. Will you give it a shot? And I said, I mean, I don't see the risk. I could do a single stream of it just to play it and see if it's any good at this point. Apparently, they made so many improvements and things I could at least understand what the game is. So I was starting to consider maybe later this week at one point I would do a stream of Fallout 76 since it's a free trial. Why not, right? But then they weren't done yet. They weren't done yet. Then they announced, ladies and gentlemen, I swear I thought we were getting pranked or something. Fucking Battle Royale. They added Battle Royale to Fallout 76. This was a meme on the internet, a joke meme. Why don't we add Battle Royale to Fallout? Why don't we add Battle Royale to this genre where it doesn't belong? And then they did it. They fucking did it. Someone didn't understand that it was a joke meme, and they actually are adding this to the game. The premise they're going under is that there's 52 people who are vying to be the leader of Vault 52 or 51 or something like that. There's an empty vault, and someone wants to be the overseer, so you have to do a Battle Royale fight in order to determine who's going to be the winner. And by the way, it's fucking Battle Royale like every other game, except I think in this one there's also monsters, because they showed some monsters during it. So not only are you fighting the other 52 people, or 51 people, but you're also going to be fighting monsters to survive as well, so you can use the monsters to your advantage and stuff. So, maybe there'll be a little bit of a spin on Battle Royale, but in general, did anyone really ask for Battle Royale in Fallout? Like, that was a joke, and apparently they didn't get the fucking joke, and they're actually adding it. So they said that will also be added this week. So if you play the free trial this week, the new Battle Royale mode is included. So now it's like a no-brainer. Of course I'm going to fucking play it sometime this week and do a Battle Royale. Why wouldn't I try that out and see what the hell it is, right? So there you go. So yes, I will be trying, as long as what they said is true. I will be trying Fallout 76 this week. Primarily, I want to try the Battle Royale. Obviously, I'll try out the main game as well. But I think what I'll do is like a main stream. I'm going to be honest, maybe Wednesday for variety. So maybe do the stream of this and see what the hell it is. And, you know, try some of the main games, some of the Battle Royale, and just mess around with it. And that way I can at least say that I've played it, because a lot of people gave me shit, oh, last year you didn't play it. Yeah, you're right, I didn't, because it was one of the worst games of the year, so I skipped it. But maybe I'll give it a shot, you know, just because it's free. You see what I mean? Alright, so that was their big Fallout 76 announcement, okay? So now, no lie, we're over a half an hour into the Bethesda press conference. And people are like, damn, they really, like, shoveled the shit high at the front end of this conference. Like, this is crazy how much we waited for them to get to something good, okay? Then there was something good, although admittedly I want to criticize it, to be fair. So, Shinji Mikami comes out. Those who don't know, the creator of Resident Evil, the creator of the Evil Within, I say Evil Within, the creator of the Evil Within, comes out and he says, we have a new IP to present to you, a new game. Ooh, interesting, okay? We didn't hear anything about this. He says it's called Ghostwire Tokyo, and then he has one of his head of his studio come out, a Japanese woman who barely can speak English. He could barely speak English either, so it's very hard to understand. But for what I'm to understand, it's not a survival horror game. It's going to be an action hybrid horror game. I guess what you could think of, you know what's a good example of action horror? Fear. the Fear series. That series has lots of scares, lots of scary shit, but at the same time, it's combat, action-style combat. So he's basically saying that's what it's going to be, a combination of combat with horror rather than survival horror, okay? Now, it's very hard to understand what the game is actually going to be. All they showed was a animated trailer, you know, full motion video. They didn't show any gameplay. But from what it looks like, you're in Tokyo, and Tokyo somehow has been overrun by ghosts. Like, some people are vanishing out of the streets, and there's ghouls walking through the streets, and there's this guy walking down the street with a bow and arrow, and he looks like a ninja, and he's like, you know, you don't run from the ghosts, you fight them, or something like that. And so it shows him, like, he's gonna fight the ghosts, and there's demons and things coming out, and he's you know, attacking them, but it's not clear what it's gonna be, again, because guess what? No actual gameplay. For me, it seems like it's pretty interesting, and the reason I say that is because it's a game set in Tokyo, so you see that kind of cultural assimilation of Tokyo. You see what it's like to live in Japan, right? But then you're going to have a horror aspect thrown in there. I think it's going to be a cool game. I don't know how it's going to play out, but at least this initial teaser was good. But I do have to criticize and say, you know, kind of, I would have liked some gameplay. Give me 10 seconds of what the game will control like or look like in the real game, and I would have been appeased, but instead they just did this stylistic trailer. So obviously the game must be really far out, and we have no idea when it's coming out yet. Okay? Alright. Up next, Elder Scrolls Online. Now, you guys know I have zero interest in Elder Scrolls Online, but there are plenty of people who apparently do. The game has an established player base. They just had a new expansion elsewhere that came out this last week. I saw all over social media people talking about it. I don't care about Elder Scrolls Online. I have no investment in MMOs. So, I'm not even kidding. No one who was on the stream watching this with me knew this. I really had to take a shit real bad. So, at that point, I left the show on here, and I pulled out my phone, and I started streaming the press conference on my phone and watching it while I went and took a shit. So I was watching it, and it was funny because I was like, man, maybe I'm going to miss out on something because I got to take a steamy dump during this, right? So I go to take a shit. I kid you not. They started playing a movie, like a movie trailer for, I don't know what Elsewhere or whatever. I don't even know if it's for Elsewhere because I don't know what it is in the MMO or whatever. So they start playing this action-based, almost like a movie, full-motion video movie. Like, damn. Some people in the stream chat were saying, man, I wish they would just make a movie out of this instead of a game because this looks good. This should be a movie. So it's like one of the Khajiit and a Necromancer and other people, they're all fighting a giant dragon. And this goes on, I'm not even kidding you, so long. Zero gameplay, zero explanation of anything. This played for so long, I was able to take an entire shit, clean up, wash my hands, and get back in the fucking office before it ended. That thing was like 10 minutes fucking long. A 10-minute long animated segment of them fighting a dragon. What the fuck did that add to E3? Absolutely nothing. It was a waste of everyone's fucking time. I literally took a dump during it and missed nothing. Literally took a dump during it. Okay. So, that being said, when I got back into the office, they were talking about Elsewhere. And they were saying that, you know, it's a very successful DLC. Check it out if you haven't. And there's going to be a new one called Dragonhold coming out later. And then Scalebreaker in August. So basically it's all DLC expansions for Elder Scrolls Online that I don't know anything about. So if you like Elder Scrolls Online, good news. Elsewhere just released. There's 2 more DLCs coming. And there's a cool full motion video movie you can watch on the internet. You can take a shit while you watch it because it's long enough. But outside of that, I don't know what the hell else, you know, to really talk about this game. They talk about it every year, and I never know what the fuck to say. So, alright, continuing on. So once I finished with my shit, I came back to the office, and they started playing Commander Keen. What? Commander Keen. One of the earliest ever id Software games for PC. It was, I think, a platforming action game from the early 90s. They're bringing back Commander Keen. Okay, I guess that's good. So what it is, it's 2 kids, Billy and Billy, a brother and sister, who are supposed to be the children of the original Commander Keen from the game from the 90s, and they use their ingenuity, because they're supposed to be kid geniuses, to fight aliens and stuff. And then they say, oh, it's a mobile game coming out in the summer, and they show a little bit of gameplay of it on a mobile phone, and you're like, oh, well, that's the end of my interest. Maybe I thought it was going to be a good game, you know, on a mobile game. So more than likely, you got to spend, you know, half of your fucking life savings to progress every stage or whatever. So there you go. Okay, continuing on. Elder Scrolls Legends, another mobile game. They're saying it's going to get a new expansion, the Moons of Elsewhere expansion, I guess soon. I think they said tomorrow or tonight or something like that. Gets the free expansion, okay? Rage 2. Now, Rage 2, a very divisive game. Some people really liked it for its old-school Smash Mouth style first-person shooter gameplay. Other people really hated it because it really lacked a coherent and interesting story, had a shitty ending, and had 2 completely empty towns. The game feels completely unfinished. I'm kind of in the middle. I don't hate the game, but I certainly don't love it. I think it's okay. It's just an average game. I liked it a lot more earlier on until I realized the game had empty areas and a shitty plot. So, Rage 2 apparently is getting a new expansion called Rise of the Ghosts. There's going to be a new faction that you fight in the game, new vehicles, and new cheats added, and a new plot line. Problem is, it's not free. Now, if you paid $60 for Rage 2, and you realize there were 2 completely empty towns in the game that they never finished designing, and you realize the game gets really repetitive after the first 8 hours and just becomes the same thing over and over, you probably feel a little miffed, and you're like, man, I kind of wish that there was more to the game. I kind of got a little bit gypped here, you know, how much I paid for it. Now they're telling you pay more money to get more story elements. No. How about no? How about they should have been in the original game and I'm not paying more money for this crap? Too bad. So that's kind of how I feel about it. You may feel differently, but I wouldn't give them an extra $1 for Rage 2. It should have been in the original fucking game. Okay? Continuing on. Wolfenstein. 2 things of Wolfenstein. Number 1, Wolfenstein Cyberpilot is a VR experience of Wolfenstein where you fight Nazis in first-person VR, and that's coming out in July. I really don't care about that at all. As you guys know, I don't cover VR stuff anymore. At one point I did, and once I became a full-time streamer in 2017, I just stopped caring about it. So I don't really care about that. Then, Wolfenstein Youngblood. It's co-op. You are the daughters of B.J. Blazkowicz. It's set in the 1980s, 20 years after the end of the New Colossus, which was the last game in the Wolfenstein franchise. B.J. is missing in action. He was in France and disappeared in Nazi-occupied France, so his daughters go in with cyber suits. Like, they look like cyber ninjas. And they go in doing all kinds of crazy stuff. They're doing super jumping and wall running and shooting and doing crazy abilities to kill all the Nazis to try to find their dad. The game looks good, although admittedly, the gameplay looked very, very similar to other Wolfenstein games. I really didn't see much innovation there at all. But the co-op aspect might be pretty nice. And the game comes out on July 26th. So there you go. Wolfenstein Youngblood. Arcane Studios, for those who don't know, the developers of Dishonored, as well as the recent Prey from a couple years ago. They got a new game IP coming out. It's called Deathloop, and I have no idea what it is. I know it's combat, but what it is, it's a trailer where it shows one man. He's an African-American guy. I'm assuming it's African-American because he speaks, you know, perfect English. And he basically saying, oh, I'm here to end it all. I'm here to shut this down and destroy. And then there's an African-American woman saying, oh, I love it here. I'm here to keep things the way they are and to defend it. So I guess they're going at odds, but I don't understand what they're talking about defending. So the guy's fighting like generic enemies. First he's using guns, punching. Then all of a sudden he does like this. There's like a force push. The girl's using like a sniper rifle. And then all of a sudden she's wall running and doing crazy abilities. So I'm not exactly sure what it is. In fact, I'm not even sure if it's first or third person because they never said that. And it was all a trailer. There was no real gameplay. Okay. It seems interesting. But at the same time, I wish they had given more of an explanation of what the game's going to be. The only thing they gave a clue was, oh, it'll be part of, like, Arcane Studios' signature gameplay, what you expect. I'm like, well, I don't know what to expect. Arcane games, if you compare Dishonored with Prey, the 2 things they had in common, number 1, they were first person. Number 2, 3 things they had in common, excuse me. Number 1, they were first person. Number 2, there's a ton of looting in them. You search every fucking cabinet, crevice, nook, cranny, ass crack to look for some hidden loot. And number 3, they're basically kind of almost play how you want. Both in Dishonored and in Prey, you could choose what upgrades you got for your character, and it would dramatically change the way the game could be played. You could be offensive, defensive, sneaking, platforming, agile, you know, all depending on what things you purchased. So I have no idea what they mean. I guess the game will kind of be like that. But again, with zero real explanation of what the game is, it's kind of hard to understand, all right? But at least it's a new IP from Arcane. We don't know when, though. No information. Then, they basically took about 5 minutes to keep patting themselves on the back. And when I say that, all of Bethesda, basically, we were the first to do this. We were the first to do this. We did this first. We did this first. We did this first and this first and this first and this first. They're like, okay, maybe it was fine the first 5 times you said it, but when you say it 27 times, we kind of get tired of it. Like, okay, we get it. You're great. All right? So, they're the first game studio to take their game engines, all right, and try to make them compatible with streaming of gameplay for all these cloud services that we keep hearing about. We just heard about Google Stadia earlier this week, how Google wants to stream games across the internet. Just earlier today, we heard about Project xCloud, the new streaming service from Microsoft, where they're going to try to stream their games to all of you, no matter what console you're on or where you're located. So what they're saying is they have a new project called Orion, where they're trying to specifically take games made by Bethesda and make their game engines in a unique way that you can stream these games over streaming services and not lose quality. So, for example, did you guys ever play Doom 2016? If you did, you know what I'm talking about. If you didn't, you don't. That game had a game engine, the id Engine, that on the fly would adjust the quality of what you were seeing based on what was going on. If you were in a room with no enemies and you were just looking around the environment, it would be insanely highly detailed, and the frame rate would be a smooth 60 frames, and it would look really good. But if you were in the middle of a firefight with a bunch of enemies and you're moving fast, in order to retain that frame rate, it would actually lower and degrade the quality of the visuals. The actual detail of the models and everything would downgrade during the combat, and then quickly upscale and reload when the combat was done, so that it would look better at a still frame without all the action going on. So essentially what they're telling you, okay, is that when you're playing Bethesda games and you're trying to stream them from a cloud, what they're going to do is downgrade the quality of the game when they can, and then upgrade it again when they can, to not sacrifice bandwidth. Because the bottom line is, if you're in an action-packed segment and you're trying to stream it, you could fuck up everything. And I can attest to this because I used services like the Ouya and the PS Now, and what was the third one? There were 3 of them. OnLive. Yes, and OnLive in particular, now of course that was ancient, that was like 7-8 years ago, but OnLive would work when you were doing nothing, and then all of a sudden whenever you got to an action part of a game, the whole thing would lag out and crap out on you, okay? So I can attest that definitely it would up the bandwidth usage during an action sequence. If Bethesda's Orion project actually is going to effectively do this, then maybe streaming of games could be viable. And the reason I say that is because I've been very skeptical recently about Google Stadia, and now this morning, earlier, I was very skeptical about Project xCloud, saying, you know, I don't see how these are going to work. I guess they expect everyone to have great internet or whatever, but maybe if they can streamline their games to work better with streaming, then maybe you wouldn't need better internet, okay? This was, out of all the things I've heard about the cloud, this is the first thing of an active game developer saying, we want to make our stuff work with the cloud, and here's what we're doing to make it easier. That, to me, sounds like something with promise. Not that every fucking game publisher out there wants to stream. Google wants to stream. That's great, but do you have capability, or are you just going to pretend like it works and then it lags the fuck out? In this case, it seems to me like, no, this company actually wants their games to work with it, and they're changing the way that they're designing games from the ground up. Okay, we'll see as things, you know, go on in the future, how these things go. Fair enough? Okay. Then, they said, just as an example, we're going to show you how the Orion works. Someone here is now playing Doom 2016 on a mobile device. And they walk out, they couldn't tell what it was. It was some kind of a tablet. It was much bigger than a phone. So it was probably like this big, a bigger thing. And it was attached to just like an Xbox controller. And they were playing Doom 2016 on it, supposedly. Now, it could have been completely phony. There's no way to tell if it was legit or not, okay? And it was really being live streamed. What the deal was, who knows? But they're just saying, oh, look, it's viable, and we're going to work to do it, okay? So then, Doom Eternal. Basically, this was the ginormous conclusion to the press conference for Bethesda. So Doom Eternal has a new plot line where, yes, you're still the Space Marine guy, but now not only are you fighting the demons from hell, but you're going to be fighting angel characters. They're supernatural. They showed a ghost dog or something. It was pretty crazy. They showed very, very big Smash Mouth style gameplay, just like you could expect from original Doom, but also now the game seems a lot more colorful. Like, I noticed there was way more colors in the game than the previous Doom was, like a gray and black and red and brown. This game had like all kinds of neon colors and shit going on. And then in addition to that, the game seems to have a lot more platforming, at least from what they were showing, because they did show gameplay. Holy shit, they actually showed gameplay of Doom versus a lot of the other games here. It was just trailer. This was actual gameplay of the game. It seemed like there was a lot of jumping, double jumping, climbing, that kind of deal, which some people might like and some people might not, because Doom typically did not have that kind of gameplay. That's more like Quake. So it almost seems like they're turning Doom into Quake now, which I guess is okay. I like Quake too. So, you know, maybe the more the better, rather than just doing the standard FPS where you're just locked to the ground and you're just shoot, dodge, shoot. Instead, now it's more about double jumping and flying through the air and solving platforming challenges as well to add more variety to the gameplay. Okay, so all that being said, it looks good. It looks good to me. I'm excited for it. I really am, and I hope that ends up being as good as it looks right now, because Doom 2016 was quite outstanding. It was a great reboot. So then, they say there will constantly be new stuff in the game, even deep into the campaign. It's never going to become boring and repetitive. And also, it looked like to me like there was a lot of new weapons. There was this new hook shot. It was like you hook and pull yourself to the enemy, and it hurts the enemy, but also it gives you propulsion in certain directions. Again, the platforming aspect. The game comes out November 22nd. Okay, earlier than expected. I thought it was going to be like spring next year, November 22nd, so earlier than expected. It's going to be a packed fucking November this year, let me tell you. The collector's edition of the game comes with a full-size wearable Space Marine helmet. And one guy in the audience was wearing it, and he looked very silly, but I joked that I should get it, and I should wear it on all of my streams. Probably, I sound like this, though, so I don't know how you guys will like it if I scream this. However, you probably wouldn't be able to understand anything that I said because you just sound like this. So probably not a good idea for me to wear the helmet, okay? But also, they announced a new mode called Battle Mode, where it's going to be 2v1. Two humans will control demons, while one person will be the Space Marine, and will be fighting these demons. So it's a new mode. Will it be any good? I have no idea. And then they announced that QuakeCon this year is actually, they're going to kind of soft call it DoomCon, because it's all about Doom this year. And they said if you go there, we'll have exclusive gameplay of Doom presented, etc., etc. And that was it. That was the entire press conference. So if you cut out things we already knew about and mobile games, this press conference would have been over in about 20 minutes. And it was over an hour, okay? Because just to recap, okay? Elder Scrolls Blades, Fallout 76, Ghostwire Tokyo, the new IP from Shinji Mikami, Elder Scrolls Online, the Commander Keen mobile game, Elder Scrolls Legends mobile game, Rage 2 paid-for expansion, Wolfenstein Youngblood, the new game Deathloop from Arcane Studios, the Orion streaming engine, and Doom Eternal. That's it. That was a really fast one. For me, obviously the highlight is Doom. Obviously, everyone cares about Doom Eternal, and now we know it's coming out this year. That's excellent. I actually really like the fact we're getting a new game from Shinji Mikami that's not classic survival horror. I'd rather do something else. And obviously, you know, Wolfenstein Youngblood looks good. Everything else is kind of like, I don't care about the mobile games. I don't care about the MMO. I'll try Fallout 76 this week since there's a free trial, but I get the feeling after I play it the first time, Battle Royale, what a gimmick. I'm probably never going to play it again. I really doubt there's going to be any incentive for me to want to buy this game after the trial ends. So, for me, you know, it's kind of like, wow, this was very underwhelming again. And you know what I think it is I think at this point, I think we're expecting too much from Bethesda, and allow me to explain what I mean by that. If you remember, when Bethesda first started with these press conferences, they had some ginormous announcements. You know, Fallout 4, the Doom reboot. So 2 years, 3 years running, they were like, bam, bam, we got everything, man, bam, bam, hitting you with big things every year. And every year we were like, Bethesda wins, Bethesda wins. And then all of a sudden they realized they don't have that kind of level of stuff anymore. You know what I mean? Now they got a following, so they want to keep doing the press conferences, but they can't deliver. It ends up being a lot of fluff, and it ends up being kind of disappointing. You know, are we ever going to get another year like those first 1 to 2 years when Bethesda did their press conferences and we're like, Fallout Shelter's out now. Fallout 4, which you didn't even know about, coming out in the fall, you know? And then last year they tried to do that with Fallout 76, and it backfired because the game ended up being terrible. So, I guess we'll see moving forward in future years, but for me, Doom Eternal, 2 thumbs up, looks great, cannot wait to play it in November. Outside of that, not really that much. I'll be honest, Wolfenstein Youngblood, meh. Like, I'm not 100% sold on it. I'm interested in it. I'm probably going to play it, but I'm not 100% like, wow, I'm so blown away. It looks kind of like regular Wolfenstein with a few tweaks here or there in co-op. So it doesn't seem to me like it's an amazingly, oh my god, kind of new game. No jaw-dropper there. And, you know, Ghostline, we don't know enough about. Excuse me, Ghostwire, not Ghostline. We don't know enough about, and we didn't see any gameplay. Everything else I didn't care about. So it's kind of like, hard to get excited about Bethesda. You know, so that's 2. Microsoft, very underwhelming. Bethesda, underwhelming. It's like each press conference so far has like 1, 2 things that you may be interested in, and the rest of the press conference you could have literally taken a shit like I did and missed absolutely nothing. Maybe I will take a shit for the rest of the press conferences because it seems like I'm not missing anything. I'll just watch it on my phone. All right, so that's my recap and reactions. Now let's do some shout-outs to those who contributed and answer some questions, because I know a lot of people were contributing here, and I want to get to that. So we start off with Vergoda69, who tipped me $10 and actually said, Sup Phil with it Filiano. Been a while since I've been to your streams. Hope everything is okay. Thank you, Vergoda, for the tip. I appreciate that. Top tipper so far of today. And yeah, you know, me covering E3 is always exciting. Even though, so far today, I'll be honest, was kind of underwhelming with both press conferences. I still had fun covering it and doing it and interacting with you guys, so it was worth it. I'm looking forward to another day of it tomorrow, honestly. Something different to do rather than just constant gameplay, so that's good. Thank you, Vergoda. Straight Cash Homie. Hold on a second. Straight Cash Homie tipped $6. He says, Doom looked fucking awesome. Everything else was awful. Also missing the mascot. Would like to see a comeback for mascots. All right, well, this is not the time to be addressing the mascots. But I agree with you. Doom was definitely the major highlight, and there really wasn't much else going for the press conference. Basketball American tipped me $2 and said, Big ups, Phil. I have post-nasal drip. I just got diagnosed with it. You're my hero that helps me through it. Okay, thank you for the tip. DJ Runo cheered. He says, if Fallout 76 can have Battle Royale, why don't we also have Phoenix Wright Battle Royale? Why don't we fucking have, you know, we have, I was going to joke and say Tetris Battle Royale. We fucking have Tetris Battle Royale. Super Batcat has subscribed for 28 months and said, so far, E3 has just been okay. I agree with you. It's been kind of meh. Not very exciting. We Stream No Games is resub for 25 months. Says, do you think E3 is going to die out in a couple of years? My full and true, honest reply to that is I feel that E3 will still continue, but will be a fan fest / convention. It will not be a place where the major publishers showcase their games. In fact, they'll stop doing stage shows altogether. It'll stop being a press event. Instead, what will happen is all the game publishers will do digital conferences like Sony, EA, Nintendo, etc. They're all going to do digital conferences to release their stuff, and people who go there will maybe be able to get hands-on some games, but it's not going to be anything like it has been. Already this year, it's not. This year, it's the first year, the sign that things are changing, because EA's been so desperate to make money that they are now selling tickets and to the public. And the whole place has been a big jumbled mess. The past 2 years, people covering E3 have complained massively. It's too hard to even cover it as a press event because there's too many just common people going through there, jumbling the place, cramming it full like sardines. You can't even get around and try out the games that you're trying to cover as a journalist. It's too hard. So I fully expect E3 may not go away, but will completely convert itself over into like a convention in a few years. Much like there's San Diego Comic-Con, E3 will be the convention for gaming. That's what I'm predicting, okay? DJ Runo Charity says, I bet with the Rage 2 DLC, they think that they're hot shit now. The only company that deserves a whole segment for expansions is CD Projekt Red, since their expansions were bigger than Rage 2. He's actually right. He's absolutely 100% right. ZGSP17 has resubscribed for 30 months. Thank you, ZGSP. I appreciate that. Excuse me. Bleh. Bagel Goose did 100-bit cheer. He says, out of all the games you've seen in these conferences, but you have either never been made or got canceled, which one do you think would have came out? Dude, I can't answer that. You'd have to show me a list of games that never released, and I can give you an opinion, but there's no way I could pull that answer out of my butt. I'm sorry. Ron Paul Cheery says, I wish Rockstar ran an E3 conference. Where do you rank Rockstar on the list of publishers? Here's the thing. Rockstar, typically, when they come out with games, they're pretty good. There's been a couple exceptions. Don't get me started with Max Payne 3. But in general, most Rockstar games are pretty high quality to exceptionally good. At the very least, you could say they're a good bang for your buck. I mean, take a look at fucking Red Dead Redemption 2. Holy shit, right? That was a lot of content. But Rockstar doesn't release a lot of games. It's not like Bethesda, where they have a ton of IPs. EA, they have a ton of IPs under their belt. They make a new game every couple of years, and that game's good. So, for example, if Bethesda had a press conference at E3 this year, what would they show you? We're working on more Grand Theft Auto Online stuff. We just did an expansion to Red Dead Redemption Online. Boring shit. That, you know, maybe they'd be a big reveal. We're Bully 2. Wow. So one thing, you see what I mean? I don't even think they have enough to fill a press conference because they don't have a million IPs under their belt they're constantly developing for. So I don't think they need a press conference at E3, quite frankly. DJ Bruno cheered again. He says, why the fuck didn't they say in the deluxe edition of Wolfenstein Youngblood that you can play with a friend for free? Now, if that isn't a major selling point for a game, I don't know what it is. Maybe they can't anymore? Because they were absolutely right. If you buy the collector's edition, I think it's like $20 extra. Basically, a friend gets the game for free, and you can do free co-op with that friend over the internet. So if you're going to do co-op, why the fuck wouldn't you buy the collector's edition to save tons of money and then give the game to your friend, right? That makes sense to me. It does. So, then again, if you have game share, right, which I now do with my wife, I mean, technically, can't I just buy the game and then she gets it on my account and then switches to hers and then we only bought the regular edition and we could still do co-op? You see what I mean? Like, couldn't you just do that? If you game share with your friend, couldn't you get it for free? So, maybe there's no point in doing it at all. If the game share works, then why would you even do it at all, right? But I certainly agree with you. If this is a selling point feature, why didn't they mention it? They should have. I agree, and they kind of ignored it. They didn't bring it up at all, okay? Spawn Killer tipped me $1. I was disappointed that they didn't announce anything for Fable 4. And did they announce the price for the new Xbox? No, no, no. And the reason being, that's a question about the Microsoft press conference, but I'll answer it since we're at the end of this one. No, Fable, there's nothing whatsoever for a new Fable. And of course, they're so early, they're over a year away from the sale of the new Xbox. They're not going to give pricing, probably next E3. Next E3, they're going to show you the models, and they're going to show you the pricing and all of that. And by the way, I got a running bet with, was it CM Fool? I have a running bet with someone about if they're going to force you to include a Kinect with this new one. I say there's no fucking way in holy hell they're going to sell it with a Kinect. There's no way they would force you to buy it with a Kinect. You're definitely going to be able to get it without the Kinect. It'll be a separate accessory. But I guess we'll see. James the Beastie cheer. He says, why are people surprised in 2019 that Bethesda games look like shit? They've always looked lazy and dated. People just notice that now? I don't know. Alright, so anyway, that is it, ladies and gentlemen, for my recap and reactions to the Bethesda E3 2019 press conference. I want to say thanks if you were there live during the stream to interact with me on my stream. Thank you if you were live here right now for this. And, of course, thank you if you're watching this on demand on YouTube as well. I appreciate any of that. And, you know, just thanks in general. So that is it for now. There's going to be a couple more press conferences that I will be covering this week. In addition, I will be doing a best and worst rundown, big kind of cumulative broadcast / podcast, whatever you want to call it, later in the week. So be sure to check that stuff out. But for E3 Day 1 press conference coverage, I'm signing off. Thanks a lot, everyone, for watching, and I hope you enjoyed it.